some people decided to make a new legendary Titanic again. But there are some strange accidents on the ship. The story begins in 1912, when the real Titanic was sinking. A young woman named Elizabeth somehow managed to escape from the sinking ship. She was constantly calling her fiancé Charles, but she didn't get any answer. The crew of the ship forcefully put her in a lifeboat that was being lowered into the water. But the cable that was holding the boat suddenly broke, and the boat turned over after falling into the water. All the people had fallen into that icy water. Elizabeth somehow got on that overturned boat. Then suddenly Charles calls her from a nearby iceberg. To save Elizabeth, Charles jumped into the water. Elizabeth was now looking for Charles in the dark waves of the sea, when suddenly a living corpse-like body suddenly came out and pulled her into the sea. After 110 years of the sinking of the real Titanic, a ship named Titanic 3 set out on its new journey, exactly the same way the old Titanic ship had gone. A man who had come with his partner by car was standing on the dock and looking out of the window of his car. He was very impressed to see the ship and told his companion to keep the phone and watch it for a while. As soon as the girl looked up and saw that all this was being recorded, she suddenly got excited and started praising Titanic 3. Actually, as soon as they leave the car and the vloggers, their fans surround them. After getting some photos clicked, they made an excited video for their followers and then boarded the ship. There were a lot of antique things of the old Titanic kept in the ship for which additional security was required. After this, we see a young woman coming out of a bag. She left the bag and quietly started roaming in the lower parts of the ship. Soon that unknown girl came up and stole a crew uniform from the room. That unknown girl wears a crew uniform and goes to the museum part of the ship, where a violin was kept in a closet. The girl took it in her hand as soon as she saw the violin. Then a man came in screaming and asked her to keep the violin immediately. He said that this is the most precious piece here. After drowning in the sea for 100 years, it has been taken out of the old ship, and he didn't want any girl to spoil it without any reason. Julie came in the middle and tried to intervene and asked the girl to leave. Then that unknown girl saw a gold coin and a gold pin there. She said that my grandmother also had the same pin. She believed that all the people killed in the Titanic should not be taken out of their things. In the old days, people used to bury the things of the dead with them, and those who destroyed their belongings like this will get a curse. That man was now upset with this unknown girl. He asked Julia, "Who is she? Why is she talking so much nonsense?" Julia didn't even know who she was, but so many people worked on this ship that it was difficult to know everyone. So Julia told him to leave quickly. When that man and Julia were talking to each other, the girl secretly stole that hairpin and coin. There, that unknown girl sat in the lower part of the ship and started black magic. She takes a picture of the old captain of the Titanic from her bag and tells all the souls to get up. At this time, everyone was dancing in the ballroom of the ship. Mia and Jackson were still making videos of different places on the ship. While roaming around, they came to the lower part of the ship and saw that girl doing black magic. They didn't understand what she was doing, but when she started doing her worship in a dangerous way, she got scared and started leaving. But then the back door opened wide. They turned around in fear, but a fan of theirs, Nancy, came from behind. She saw their live stream and reached here looking for them. Despite being so loud, the girl's attention was not lost. She was completely focused on her black magic. Suddenly, the ship's walls began to shake with her power, and the vlogger's camera shut down on its own. Seeing all this, Jackson said that they should leave from here quickly. Mia and Nancy also immediately went with him. Now the light started fluctuating in the captain's room. Suddenly, the captain's video call with his fiancée also broke, so he realized that the ship's connection has been cut off from the whole world. On the other hand, Mia, Nancy, and Jackson went to the ship's corridor. Nancy told them that she has been following them for many years. That's when Jackson bumped into Hal again, so he called her careless again. Then he looked at Mia and started smiling without talking. Nancy told Hal that you even know who he is. He has 12 million subscribers on YouTube. Hearing this, Hal felt that he must have a lot of money. After that, he started telling that he has a lot of old things of Titanic, and there is a blue diamond that will look very good on Mia. In anger, Mia tells him that I don't need to touch it. Then Jackson comes in the middle and tells Hal to leave from there. At the same time, that unknown girl was still doing her black magic, and soon her mission was completed. It turns out that the captain of the last ship was his grandfather. After that, the captain of the Titanic, Edward Smith, who is his great-grandfather, appeared in front of him. Meanwhile, Mia and Jackson went to the deck and made a video. Suddenly Mia started hearing a lovely violin sound, and behind him, a man like a ghost was standing with a violin. He was playing such a lovely violin that Mia and Jackson started dancing. But then something strange started happening on the ship. The electricity of the entire Titanic 3 went off in a moment. Mia was still dancing with Jackson in a daze. Suddenly, that lovely tune turned into a very sharp voice that was tearing everyone's ears. Mia started holding her head and screaming, "What is happening?" Jackson couldn't understand what to do. The ghost who was playing the violin had now come very close to Mia. She was scared and closed her ears to see why this voice was not stopping. And on the other hand, that ghost pulled Jackson into the thick fog and took him away. As soon as the voice stopped, the captain's assistant orders to check the entire ship system once. When she came to her senses, Mia searched for Jackson here and there, but he was nowhere. Soon Hal came to meet her again and tried to calm her down. Along with that, he told Mia that let's meet at the bar after a while. Mia listened to him, but then she remembered her phone. When Mia was picking up her phone, Hal left there in the meantime. Now Mia thought she would tell people about this voice. Suddenly, the ghost who was playing the violin came in front of her again, and with the same scary voice, he went towards Mia and killed her. Anyway, soon some security guards found Mia's body. After that, the ship's security head came to the ballroom to meet Captain Rose. He took her to the control room with him, where the captain was shocked to see everything behaving strangely. The captain asked the crew to close the system and start again. Then Brian came there in a panic and asked the captain to come with him. Both reached the deck where Mia's body was lying. Rose asked, "Where is her husband Jackson?" And she asked Brian to check if Mia was doing a live stream. Maybe she can get some information from her phone. In a while, Hector reached there and asked the guards to clean this area quickly. The captain picked up Mia's phone and told Hector to see who she had last called. By then, she herself would go to the control room and try to contact the Coast Guard. Meanwhile, the engineer was trying to fix all this mess. Suddenly, he heard a strange voice. As soon as he turned around, a strange ghost was coming to him. He tried to run away from there, but it was of no use. A ghost stood in front of him and hit him on the head with a part of the pipe. The engineer died on the spot. Hector, Brian, and many guards were looking at Mia's camera. Rose came to them and told them that they didn't find anything suspicious. Then they played the last video of Mia's phone. In the video, Jackson suddenly disappeared in the smoke. Then they saw Hal, who had come to Mia. Then after he left, Mia picked up the phone and there was a lot of fear on her face. Immediately after that, she died. The captain guessed that Hal must have done something wrong. That's why they have to catch him for questioning. At that time, Hal was talking to Julie in the ballroom. Rose and Brian came to him and asked him to come with them. They wanted to take him to a private room and talk to him. Soon the captain told him that Mia is dead and her husband is missing, and Hal was the last person who saw him alive. CCTV cameras showed that Hal was fighting with Jackson again and again. Hal said that I agree that sometimes I get angry, but it doesn't mean that I hit people. During this time, the unknown girl used her power again, and suddenly the ship's engine started running on its own. As soon as the captain felt that the ship was running, she immediately went to the control room. The captain went to the deck and saw that the ship was really running. She tried to contact Parker on the radio, but it was of no use, because all kinds of signals were not going here and there. After going to the control room, the captain got angry at everyone who was driving the ship, to which the assistant told him that all the controls are locked. He also rebooted the system as per the captain's instructions, but it was of no use. This is some other power that is running the engines. Now this ship was heading towards the same iceberg from which the old Titanic crashed. Captain Rose asked everyone to find the reason behind this. She wanted to take the ship in reverse as soon as possible. Brian met her on the deck, and they both went to the engine room. As soon as they left, a woman named Julie and Mrs. Strauss came to the deck. When Mrs. Strauss was alone there, A woman told her that this necklace is very nice on your neck. Mrs. Strauss thanked her, but as soon as the woman turned around, she turned out to be a ghost, and she strangled Mrs. Strauss with the same necklace, because this necklace used to belong to this ghostly woman. These were the ghosts of those people who were killed on the Titanic that day. On the other hand, in the engine room, Captain Rose was trying to fix that mess. Then suddenly the engineer's body came in front of her. She was scared and tried to contact Parker, but the radio didn't work again. Is this woman crazy? She doesn't understand that all the signals are jammed. Where did this captain come from? Crazy. Rose knew that she would have to turn off the engine quickly, or it would explode. But the system was completely jammed and nothing was working. Brian saw that the engine couldn't handle so much pressure. It was about to explode soon. So he told Rose that they should get out of here. Seeing that the blast was about to happen, Brian quickly picked up Rose and took her out of the engine room. As soon as the door closed, there was a powerful explosion that shook the entire ship. Many people dancing in the ballroom fell from the shock. People were scared of this sudden explosion. Rose told everyone to be brave. The situation is still under control. But the whole crew was worried in the control room. They couldn't understand what was happening. Now the ship was moving straight towards an iceberg. Meanwhile, Hector was looking at the engine room, and a ghost was looking at him. Parker was still trying to contact the ship around him in the control room, but he clearly said that there is no need to worry. Everyone stayed in their cabins for a while, until the engineers solved the problem. Then suddenly he got in touch with the Coast Guard. The captain told him about his problem and asked him to send a tugboat. But soon he found out that the nearest ship was also 2 hours away. Everyone on the ship was now very exhausted. The roof of the room where Hal was locked suddenly started dripping. The light started flickering. He closed his ears in fear and started screaming to stop this noise. Suddenly the noise stopped and a ghost came in front of him. The scared Hal ran towards a corner of the room and told the ghost to stay away from him. But the ghost tied his hands to the bed with his strength and started breathing on him. Suddenly Nancy came into the control room and met the captain. She said that she has an important message. When the captain was ready to meet her, Nancy told him that a ghost has killed Mia. To prove it, she shows the last video of the vlogger's phone. Rose actually didn't believe in ghosts, and she directly said that there is no ghost on our ship. She told Brian and sent Nancy to her cabin. The room where Hal was locked was near Nancy's cabin. As soon as Brian entered the room, he saw Hal lying on the ground. His mind was completely lost, and he was telling everyone to stay away. When Brian picked him up, he came to his senses and went to meet Hal. He went to Captain Rose and told her that he saw a very strange thing. He doesn't know what it was, but it looked like he was near death. Hal told the captain that he should return to New York as soon as possible. Otherwise, the ghosts of the old Titanic will kill him. Then the guard came there and said that he couldn't find his security head Hector anywhere. The captain first told Brian to lock Hal in the same room again, because he was talking nonsense, and then he asked the guard to find Hector. They left, but Rose was still trying to talk to Hector on her radio. The guards were taking Hal to his room when they saw that unknown girl. Hal recognized her immediately. He says that this girl must have done all this. She was talking nonsense that she used to press people with gold. The girl refused that I didn't kill anyone, but I know what's going on. She said that she will tell, but people are not ready to listen to the truth. The girl pointed at Hal and said that it's all his fault. She has stolen things of the dead by going thousands of feet in the sea, and now all those people have come to take their things back. This ship is cursed, and no one present here will be able to escape. Hal asked in fear that there must be some way to stop all this, to which the girl replied that it's too late now. Brian locked that girl in a room, but she was shouting again and again that everyone will die. Everyone will die. In a short while, the door of the room closed by itself, and the captain of the old ship, Edward Smith, came there. Brian shot him, but the bullet went across the ghost's body and hit his own friend. Then suddenly the ship's electricity also went completely. The captain tells everyone to turn on the flashlight of their phone and put it on the controls. Rose suddenly saw someone near the wall, so she told everyone to turn on the flashlight of their phone and go towards the wall. But there was no one there. She thought that maybe this was her illusion, and she told everyone to fix the system as soon as possible. After this, the ghost of Captain Edward Smith gave a little bit of his power to his granddaughter. Brian was scared to see this, but he couldn't do anything. As soon as the work was over, the girl turned around and made Brian unconscious. Then she left the room comfortably. Hal came back to his cabin in fear, and he decided that whatever things he had taken out of the sea, he would throw them all back. To calm down, he went to the bathroom and started washing his face. But then he suddenly saw the ghost of Mia. Brian came to his senses and saw that his companion was alive. He asked her to stay there and went out to ask for help, but the guard didn't listen to him and started following him. But as soon as he reached the corridor, a ghost killed him. Meanwhile, the girl reached the control room. She threw Parker aside with her power. Rose tried to stop her, but as soon as she touched the girl, she saw the ghost of the captain. After this, the girl pushed Rose away from there and took Titanic 3 to the same iceberg from which the first ship broke. Captain Gore tries to stop her. What will he get if everyone dies because of this? But the soul inside the girl doesn't let him think. The crew tried to regain control of the ship, but they failed. Rose tells the girl in her last attempt that if the ship collides, you will also die. But the girl smiled and said that she doesn't care about it. After a while, the ship collided with the iceberg at high speed. Julie was trying to calm the passengers and take them to the assembly area. Rose tried to contact the outside world, but there was no answer. Then suddenly Hal came in and said that he knows what's going on. To stop everything, he will have to return all the things taken out of the old Titanic to the sea. But Rose was not in the mood to listen to his nonsense, and she says that if you want to help the passengers get on the lifeboat. This is not nonsense. Titanic 3 ship was sinking fast now. People were very scared, but even during this time, Brian picks up something from the hull which was taken out of the Titanic, but he couldn't go far because Mia's ghost came in front of him and shot him with his gun. The ship had sunk more than half. People were running here and there in fear. The water had reached the corridor and there was chaos everywhere. In the ballroom, Julia went to find Brian, but now he had become a ghost and he dropped a lifeboat on Julia. Hal kept helping people with a lot of courage, but as soon as he started lowering the lifeboats, all the ropes broke, and just like the old Titanic, everyone fell into the water. Rose stayed on Titanic 3 like a real captain till the very end. Finally, the ship sank completely. Hal was lying in a lifeboat trembling. Suddenly, he heard a voice that belonged to Captain Rose. Hal helped him and pulled him into his boat. He lay on the boat and suddenly started laughing loudly. He laughed and said, "Tell me, I snatched the things of the dead and the dead left me in front of me and killed everyone." Rose calms him down and says that you have helped people. Now forget all these things. But suddenly Hal was completely silent. As soon as Rose turned around and saw him, she understood that he was dead. But after a few moments, he turned into a ghost who killed Rose too. So if the Titanic ship is really made again, would you like to ride it? Do let us know in the comments. See you in the